Okay, so I wanted to do another video here about my dialogue editing now that I've gotten a couple of things out of the way. I've updated a few things in Freeplane, so I'm going to pause about halfway through, go ahead and pop Freeplane, and then we're going to walk through the process of adding some things to be able to move from a dialogue map into a produced mind map, so that way we can put it together for the dialogue editors who are going to be working in the CK. So I've got Smitty here for the den. He is the third of three that I've been trying to work on this week, some of the shorter ones. He's relatively short in terms of compilation here for the dialogue. He's only got 213 lines, which probably scrambles out to about 190 actual lines of dialogue, because you can see all the formatting and stuff we've got here. We've got our nodes and what have you down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the very bottom and just kind of work my way up. His is written very much like it was for Mom, so when we get to putting it into the mind map, you'll notice that these little parentheses here on the right of each of these nodes are going to tell us the origin point of this new node. So 24 comes from 22, 22 comes from 21, 21 comes from 20, so on and so forth. Okay, so there is no node 27, so I'm going to have to create one. So I'm going to put pound, do def end, and then I have to hit space because I have to make sure that it recognizes the keyword. Type in node 027, and I'm going to go ahead and just tag that as repeated car warning. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do set repeated car warning. If I scroll up a bit, you'll see that I have that as one of my local variables. So tamper warned, heard tamper, and say thanks. Got those all set here. So hopefully some of my keywords will pop up quickly. If you have a really long character, like I looked at it the other day, and apparently the largest individual SSL, or message file, excuse me, not SSL, message file, is going to be Citizen Lynette from Vault City. So I don't know if that's because there's a lot of different dialogue depending on whether or not you've been made Captain of the Guard, if you've been made a citizen, so there might be some redundancy there. But in general, I think that's going to be my Mount Everest now that I've got my process pretty well refined. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through that, and I'm going to try and record it so that way you can see how I'm doing what I'm doing in a much more extensive capacity, so that way you can hop in and be able to tackle these as well, because we've got a couple hundred different dialogue sets that we're going to have to do. All right, so back to node 27, set repeated car warning, so it's basically just going to make it active. So I could specify that I'm going to set it to 1. I'm identifying it just as the default. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and set my reply as 650. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that from here because it looks like that's where it came from. There was just no node established. So 650, 651, and 652. I'm going to go ahead and cut. And I'm going to paste them in here. So that's the primary warning is line 650 from Smitty. I'm going to type in my responses, tab in, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my target because I need to have my node response for each one. Target is equal to n for 651 is 999, and it's the same thing for 652, but as you can see here on the left in SFAL, -3 is the IQ test. Something I ran into with moms is that there is there's an intelligence flag for one that is 5 as opposed to being 4, which is the normal one that I've seen. So I don't know if there's a like a scale, like a minor intelligence check would be 5, a medium one would be 6, and a high one would be like 8 or something like that. I'll have to look into it for areas that might have some different intelligence quotient checks. I need to put in a conditional here. So if player intelligence is less than 4, then we're going to trip target 999 with line 652. Okay, you can see here he says UGK. So we could probably clean that up a little bit in terms of some punctuation, but that's not a big deal. Okay, so line 20, or node 27 rather, is done. Let's go ahead and slide up to node 26. This is where we do the regulator installed. So there's going to be a couple of conditional things here. Let's see, game time, advance, 1 hour. Okay, so we'll put that there. Player caps minus equals 750, because we're going to go ahead and remove that from here. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to identify if the caps are going to Smitty or not, because I'm sure that there are people who will try and do the Grand Theft Auto trick of paying someone for their services, then killing them and taking their money back. So I don't know if exactly how that's going to play out. I haven't tested it in the CK yet, so we'll have to see. We're going to go ahead and do player inventory remove. I'm going to go and put that in double parentheses. Car fuel injection. Okay, I'll put X1 here. So we're going to go ahead and pull that out from the inventory, and then we're going to go ahead and set car upgrade fuel cell regulator. Alright, I guess I'll leave that as part of the regular stuff here. So we have to have this PID here, so I have to imagine that there's going to be a step beforehand where it's going to say that we have to have that. There's a check that identifies that we have it. I can also go in here, go to open, and then I will go to my primary data dump. I'll get my gvar sorted list, and I can go ahead and have my gvars ready, because I'm pretty sure I'll have one or two that I'll need to hit here for the global because it's something affecting the car. And I'll also want to go into my F2 scripts, go into my headers, and do item PID. So I can go ahead and grab that here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit Control F, and I think injection is probably the only thing I need. Here we go. Car fuel injection is item number 254. So I can go ahead and put that in here in comment above that. So it's PID 254. Just so that way we can make sure that we're moving the same item, because there are things like with Vic where you're going to have a radio, and then there's Vic's radio. Rick's radio, of course, is the one that is fixed for Metzger, that you're going to have to turn in for the quest in order to get him released from slavery. All right, so we've got that adjusted here. We're not going to have to do a fade in, fade out per se, so I wouldn't worry about that. L520. Can see that there. There you go, better than new. Take it easy with her now. And then I'll go ahead and put in my responses cap, tab in 621, or 521 rather, and I will put in target equals N999. Now 600 is just kind of flailing around out here, so let me go ahead and see if I can find that text. Okay, so that's under critter p proc. Make sure there's no other triggers for that. All right, so what I've gotten in the habit of doing, just to make my life a little bit easier now, is to, instead of having these modules, or I'm sorry, methods sitting by themselves, I put them in as part of node 000. So I will go in here, I'm going to paste in 600, and I will put in def, well, I'll do pound def, I guess, critter p proc, okay? And then I'll go ahead and do a def end over here. That should be good to go. We'll get that stack on that. Now, of course, there's a couple of different conditionals that we'll throw in here, so it'll get a little bit technical in terms of the item in question, but we'll deal with that when we work our way up. I just want to make sure that that's in here. I'm also going to look at the other methods and see, let's see, timed event. We don't really have anything else going on. That's probably tied to the, excuse me, the herd tamper. And then we've got some team affiliations, so let me go ahead and put that in. So if I go over here to name, I can go ahead and go to AI packet, and I can type in tough citizen, that AI tough citizen. And I can also go to team, I can set team the den. Okay, and again, I mean, this is not necessary for what we're going to be working on per se, but having these modified message files are going to be helpful, so that that way if we do have a conflict and we're like, okay, if we attack Smitty, for example, who are we going to piss off? Who's going to get mad? Obviously mom would not be happy, so we may want to make sure that they're part of a similar faction, that sort of thing. We may even create, depending on the game flow, we may actually create some dialogue, some cartilage dialogue, you know, if you attack somebody that's considered to be particularly beloved in an area. So 600 is the only text I'm seeing here in any of these other proc methods. So we can see damage P, pickup P, which is damage, of course, if you attack him. Pickup is if you try and steal, both of which will trigger combat because setting personal enemy will make him hostile as soon as you run into him. Now, of course, the other one we want to be aware of is the one that usually gets put in here, which is talk P proc. So if I go to def talk P proc, and then I'll go ahead and again put in end, close that out. There's a couple of things that we're going to have to do in here that we will modify. So if mom is attacked or killed, call node 001. So hey, what I was just talking about just came up. So she doesn't even have to be dead. You just have to try and move aggressively on mom. You know, she pisses you off for whatever reason, which she's a sweet old lady, so I don't know why you do that. That calls node 1. If not, then we have to check for the intelligence-based connection there. So if we see here, we've got two get out, we've got the floats here in node 1. Excuse me. That's going to be for just standard, like, get off my lawn kind of stuff. And then we've got the low intelligence ones here in node 2. And then we've got some variations for the generic box objects, which is not something that I terribly am concerned about, because it's the personal inventory of the particular character that you're targeting. We also have the node 000 call. So this basically, like the talk P proc, will allow us to trigger the observation thing, so we can check and see like the look and describe, or look and examine, which is going to be what 100 and 150 and 151 are. We see over there. And we also have the here before flag that gets set. So I'll go ahead and put that in the bottom, set here before. Go ahead and put that in. Let's see. Talk P proc. I'll go ahead and knock these out because we will need to have them. I don't want to forget. Mom attacked. Or sometimes you'll see this. I'll go ahead and symbolize it. Double pipes. So if you hold shift and you hit the key that's right above enter, the either the backslash or the vertical line, those are called pipes. If mom attacked or mom killed, let me go ahead and change that capitalization because that's going to bug me. And I'll go ahead and close the parenthesis as well. Then begin, so we're going to go ahead and do call node 001, put that in there. Else if player int less than 4. So we're going to go ahead and close that up here. Again, got fat fingers, so it's causing me to hold on to the shift key a little too long. We're going to call node 002. And we're going to hit end. That's it. Okay, talk P proc's not going to be terribly complex. If we wanted to, I mean, it's recursive at this point, like 000 would call itself. We're going to go ahead and put in else call node 000. Now this is because, again, it was built in C++ with the Wacom microprocessor, so there's some linear logic that has to be applied for that. I'll put it in there, but it's not really necessary. Hopefully we'll be able to instantiate the other items we need before that becomes a problem. So let me go ahead and close up these methods that we either don't need or we're going to have referred to in another place. Let's see, that's the description pprocs. We'll put that here. So that's going to be pound def description underscore p underscore proc. And I'll do pound end. I'll close that up, tab them in. Here we can see in the text it says display message string 151 minus here before. So we're going to say if here before equals 0, boom, 150, else 151, end. Okay. So go ahead and close that. I do want to go ahead and set the flag set examined Smitty. Double parenthesis to close that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize. Look at pproc, so I'll go ahead and just copy this, the def here. I'm going to go ahead and tab him in. Put in, just change description to look. And then I'll put in pound end. set there. All right, so look at's good. Destroy. Let's go ahead and move that. I'm going to shift critter pproc up a little bit because I want these to be alphabetical in the case of searching through them. I'm going to tab down here, tab pound def destroy pproc. I'll go to end. And I'll tab in. We go ahead and set good critter kill plus equal 1. Okay, so we're gonna basically, and you've seen this in other Fallout games with the more modern ones like New Vegas and 3 and 4. It will keep tabs on how many good and bad people you kill in order to affect your karma. So if you've killed more than a certain number of good people, then obviously there's a karmic shift. But that's what that comes from. So I do want to make sure that's in there because we do have to remember that if somebody incorporates something kind of like the regulators or geez, who do you take ears to? But in any event, you know, you get either the finger or the ear for killing either a good or a bad person. You can take them to Riley's Rangers or the regulators or whoever for, you know, karmic bonuses for bounty hunting essentially. All right, so node 000 exists in the dialogue here too. So we've got some combinations that come through on the other end as well. That's why I wanted to identify these definitions for the procedures in addition to being inside node 000. So we've got an if player has car. Then we're going to go ahead and go here to call node 18. Okay. Else if, this is a compound one here, so if we have tamper warned or hurt tamper or this is an and, so that would be double ampersands, repeated car warning equal false. Make sure that's the end. Okay, we're going to do call node 027. Got to parentheses that. There we go, node 27. All right, and then we've got our last piece, else call node 003, and then we've got end. Whenever you're doing this, follow the pattern that I'm describing, please. It'll make your life so much easier. If, else should be the last alternative in the stack. If you ever use what are called switches or a switch case, things like that, you'll have a block of different possible outcomes. The last one in the case is called the default case, and that's what I always like to look at with the else by itself. Normally, I would have else if written with an underscore like this, or I would have it written as elif, which is what you would see in older languages. But just to make it a little bit simpler for my compiler, I just put else if, and it's a text compiler. It's not actually running any code. This is all pseudocode. So we've got all of our nodes called for 000. Okay. Now node 990, there is a car movie cinematic that runs. Not something I think we're going to necessarily worry about, but it is something that we may go back into. So it's always good to be aware of that. All right, so let's see. We've got the fuel regulator taken care of. We've got your targeting for node 27 set. Let's go ahead and close node 27 because we don't need it right now. Node 26, same deal. So we're going to close that. Now we're going to get to node 25. So we're going to go ahead and type in set Smitty part. As part, let's see, state equal to part known. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and yeah, transpose those there. All right, so basically what we're doing is we're saying Smitty part, which is the Smitty quest. We're going to identify the state portion of it, so if you're into object-oriented programming, this is part of what's going on with that. Double equals is for assignment, and then part known. So we're saying that we are at the part of the quest where we know about this particular controller or whatever else, because here in the dialogue in 5.10, he tells us about what a fuel cell controller is, why it would be useful. All right, don't know why I tabbed in there. I need to tab in the responses. So, okay, tab in 511 and 512. Target equals 511 is node 003, and target here is node 999. So that's going to be ending the dialog. And again, remember with some of these scripts that we're going to be paying attention to this last piece of the option block, which is the IQ test. I don't really see a whole lot that is set up for below average intelligence. So if you see anything that's a 003 or less, or the -3, which is traditionally the flag they throw up, that's the big one. All right, so we've got our block set for node 25. Good, minimize that. Node 24, so 500 is the reply, and then we've got response target is equal to node 25, so NO25 on 501. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize that one here and here. And again, this is just to kind of keep it clean as I'm moving through stuff. All right, node 23, reply 490. We've got our responses. Target is equal to NO25. Now I'm going to do something here just to kind of save myself some time. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the responses tab in, just because it'll speed things up, because there's a lot of these. Okay, node 22. Line 480 is our reply from Smitty. Then I'm going to go ahead and put that in. We've got our target here and target here. All right, so 481 is targeting node 23. This is targeting node 24. Okay, and then we've got node 21. Line 470 is our reply. 471 is our option, and node 22 is our target. So I will close those. 23, 22, and 21. Okay, so now we're at node 20. 460 is our dialog here, and I'm just going to skip up and do a couple of things here. So line 450 is our primary response from Smitty there. 430 is in node 18. 420 is in node 17. Nooch. 410 is in node 16. 400 is in node 15. 390 is in node 14. 13 is 380. Okay, well, 370 is here in node 12. We've got node 11 with 350, 340, 330. And I mean, some of these you can kind of expect being what they are. Node 8, we've got some different shifts here. We've got reply 320 for that one, and then we've got 322 as well, because that's going to change a little bit of a shift around. Node 7 obviously is going to follow just standard protocol here with that gap. Got that. Smitty, take a look at it with 280 and then 260. And then again, we've got some odd stuff up here. I'm also going to go ahead and tag in the node 1 and node 2 stuff. So we're going to go to, let's see, floater, or what's going to be random L 200-204. Okay. Now, because the low intelligence flag is already present on the fork that brings you here from the talk proc, you probably wouldn't have to modify it, but you may want to make sure that you're paying attention to the low intelligence here. So I can go ahead and put in player in less than 4. So we'll put that in. Player in less than 4. Okay. So we've got node 1 and node 2 set up. Those are good. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure those are minimized. They're just kind of in the way. I'm going to jump down to the very end, hit enter, and do #def node 990, and hit end here. Play car cinematic. Again, I mean, like, it may be something we never use, but if we do include any kind of cinematic or cutscene for that, then we'll go ahead and pull that out here. I want to make sure that we have those calls lined up. So part of the reason why I went ahead and did all those tabs there was so that I could do this, which was just go ahead and grab the responses line and put it in where I needed to. So what I could do, if I wanted, is just that here. Gonna grab that. And it just lets me fill in some quick tabbing here, so I don't have to keep typing the same thing over and over. Because that is part of the repetitive nature of doing this kind of dialogue stuff, is that there's a lot of repetition, but it's beneficial because it makes sure that you have a consistency to what you're doing. So let's go ahead and tag in. We got all the way up to node. Okay, yeah, those are good. All right, so I will have to hit the tab button obviously to make those flex in correctly, but not a big deal to do that. All right, so we should be on node 20. I'm going to go ahead and indent 461 and 462. 461 should go to node 21, and then for node 3 here. I'm paying attention. Put plus sign instead of equals. All right, so we got that. Minimize. Okay, 51, 52. Target equals n. All right, 451. This has a conditional on it, so we got to be careful. This is going to be if player caps greater than or equal to 750. So we have to make sure that we have enough money for this to be done. And here, target is going to be 026, and then we've got 999 as our end. Okay, so there's that for the regulator. Good. We'll go ahead and cap out 19 and 20. Reduce those. For 18, okay, so we're going to go ahead and select these and tab them in. I'll go ahead and copy these target lines. Thought I was going to be slick there. All right, there we go. So 430 is our primary response. Now we've got our conditional. So if player has upgrade part and car location equals area 10, or took I'll have to figure out a way to rewrite this one because it's really clunky. Off den bus 1 equals false. Okay, let me go ahead and slide that over. I wonder if SVol has a text wrap feature. That would be handy. Okay, do end. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a second conditional. So I want to make sure I separate those. If request Smitty deliver state in progress. Okay, so I'm going to cap that there. Alright, got my caps on that. Make sure I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. Alright, sorry I went silent on you for there. If it's delivery in progress and player has Smitty meal, okay, we're going to put a conditional on that there. Okay. So it should be blank, blank, blank. 1, 2, 1, 2. When you get into data structures, if you work in programming, you deal with what's called a push-pop stack quite often, basically just making sure that wherever there's a beginning parenthesis, you have a closing parenthesis. And sometimes you'll mentally just kind of check out while you're going through and making sure everything stacks up. If you know anybody who's a Lisp programmer or has done stuff in Lisp, lots of insignificant, stupid parentheses is the backronym that some people will use. Let's see, we're going to go to 999 with that one, and that is 433. Okay, cool. So we've got 18 cleaned up. Go ahead and scroll up to 17 now. 420 is the dialog line here, responses, target in 421. Good. All right, so 003 and 999. All right, so this one only has the one response line, which is cool. We're going to go ahead and do 017. Sweet, so that's closed up. 15. Set request Smitty part state equal to Smitty part. No, I guess I'll just use the underscore on that. Okay. Alright, reply 400, L401, target's node 16. Okay, 15 is closed. And again, if you look at it, we've got 440 lines of dialogue. We're already 100 lines down, just getting all this cleaned up. And the majority of the stuff up here, up to line 244, is already handled. So it's amazing how fast you can blow through this if you do a methodical approach. It's really the best thing I can tell you about any of this is just to make sure that you're not creating more work for yourself. So any place that you can do a shortcut, make sure it's actually a shortcut as opposed to just making things messy. Okay. All right, so node 14, we're going to do line 391, target is node 15. So we're going to close that, close that. Node 13 is targeting node 14. I'm smelling a pattern here. Node 12. So here's the car. That's the purchase process here. So this one's going to require a little bit of conditional work up here. All right, so we're going to do game time, advance 1 hour. Okay. Set Smitty part state equal to Smitty part given. Okay, so that should be that. Player caps minus equals 2000. Set gvar. Told you we were going to need this here. F got car. So that's 18. Okay, so that's going to be gvar 018. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that. And I'm going to put that in here. I'm going to copy the variable from this. gvar 018 is equal to player got car. Set gvar 018 equal to 1. Boom. Remove. Well, let's go to player inventory. Remove fuel cell controller. Next one. And again, I've got my item PID. Fuel cell controller is number 253. So that's PID 253. Fuel cell controller. Sweet. Now we've got our reply here. Response 371. Target node 990. 990 is where we have that car cinematic. Comment this out. And I'm going to instead put in N999. And that's going to end my dialogue. So that way, I mean, I could theoretically loop it back to the main question node, which I think it's 3. But at this point, you know, if the cinematic's going to run, then most likely dialogue is going to be ending anyway. So you hop in your, you know, badass post-apocalyptic Mad Max car, and boom, there you go. All right, so 13's clear. We're going to close that. 12 is clear. We're going to close that. 11. All right, so again, we got some conditional work up front. So I'm going to go ahead and do set Smitty part state equal to Smitty part gnome. Okay, got that set. L350 is the primary dialogue. So if player caps greater than or equal to 2000, then we can go ahead and do the conditional for 351, which would give us 012. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type in N to close that. Next one here, I'm going to go ahead and do my target equals node 003. Target equals N999. Cool. So now I've got that set. Close that. Now we're up to node 10. 340, 341, 11. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize. So these are pretty quick. So the target says, let's see, we got 331. All right, so we've got two possible targets. So we've got if player has car repair part. Okay, strip lift. We're going to do 331 target in 0. Go ahead and copy that. I'm just going to go to else, paste that in, and it's going to be 13. Okay, so it's the same dialog, but we have two different branches that it can take. It's one of the first times I've actually run into this where it's the same dialog, it just goes in two different directions based on what's in your inventory. Normally, if you have something in your inventory and it's going to manipulate whether or not you can go to a particular node, it will prompt you. All right, so let me see here. Node 9, we have already gotten squared up. I don't know why I blanked on that for a second. All right, now 8 is going to have a little bit of rearranging to do. Again, if Smitty deliver state equals time up, set Smitty deliver state equal to deliver finished. All right, it's going to be 322. Okay. All right. And then we've got our 323, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right, I'm going to go ahead and paste that up here. Go ahead and do my tabbed in responses. Tab. Go ahead and select the whole cluster here and tag them in far enough to be able to read. Target equals N. 323 goes to 999. Looks like they all go to 999. That'll make it faster for me. So 324, end dialog, 325, end dialog, 326, end dialog, 327. All right, so that's done. So I'm going to go ahead and do else for this part here. And that's going to be set say thanks, set Smitty deliver state equal to deliver finished. Cool. Player inventory add stim pack x1 player inventory remove Smitty meal x1. I keep wanting to say shitty meal. It cracks me up. I'm easily amused. Okay, so we've got that there. Now we've got our responses tag. Target is equal to N999. Okay, cool. So now we've closed that. We got our end, and we can look at what we have here. So I mean, like, we did significant expansion of this this dialog here, just because we're adding in all of these annotations. And again, that's the important part. We're trying to make it more human readable. So for those of you who have not really followed in with programming or things like that before, when I was getting my bachelor's, a big part of what we talked about was making sure we have proper commenting and documentation, because you're not necessarily going to be the one who's coming back, in this case, in 25 years' time, to rehash what's going on with this code. Now granted, this is pretty readable, and we have the SSL script file that'll put it together. So that really does help. When I first got tagged in on this project, and Austin, Joey, and Randy were kind of pointing me around on what they wanted me to do, when I was sitting there looking at the dialogue, it puts a lot of it to opinion. Like, where does this line come from? Why is this line here? Why does this, have fragments, essentially? What are we supposed to be putting in there? How do we calculate these variables that it's talking about? And thankfully, having these scripts made it a lot simpler once we went ahead and figured it out. Because otherwise, what we would have had to do is do a bunch of save scumming to figure out what the different options produced. And we would also have to make sure, do we have enough caps at the time? Do we have the correct intelligence score? And it's a real pain in the ass if you don't have it correctly configured. All right, so node 8 is good. We're going to go ahead and scroll up. Node 7, 310, respond with 311, target 9. Okay, so we're going to minimize that. 301, target 009. Going to minimize that. Nothing crazy there. Line 280. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and copy a little bit here, paste in our target nodes. Okay, so target 999 for 283. 282 is 003, and 281 is 007. Okay, so that's good. Thing from Klamath. So let me see here. From node 3, let's see. So it's 248. Let's see. That's the car upgrade part. So let me go ahead and put that in parentheses. Car upgrade. Upgrade part. Okay. Ta-da! Okay, so let me go ahead and minimize 5 because we're good with that. 4, let's see. Click, click, click. Okay, so we're going to put 999 because I know that's going to be an ending 003, 06. Okay, so again, we're blazing through this stuff. Node 3 is really the last one we got to deal with until we start looking at the procs up above and make sure we're not getting anything going on. So let's go ahead and go up to the conditionals at the top. So if here before, so we're going to go ahead and say, let's see, 242 plus say thanks. Okay, so if here before, we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to take say thanks off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut here. Let's see, 242 plus say thanks, so that would be 243. If not 242, we're going to go ahead and do if here before is equal to 0, and then else. So I'm going to go ahead and do 243, cut and copy, and then I've got jump and Jiminy, what can I do for you now, which is what it would be here. So I've got ahead of myself. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit end. So let's just, because I did course correct that really quickly, if here before is equal to 0, so remember that here before is one that we're going to set right here in the talk P. If it has not been set, then we're going to go ahead and set up jump and Jiminy, what can I do for you now? I guess it means that, you just talk to him and then you're coming back and talking to him again. If you have given him your, for the meal, so let's go to, if here before is equal to 0, let's do a nested if say thanks equals 0. See, this is why I got to go back through and make sure that I'm not losing my mind here. Okay, so we've got an if within an if. So if say thanks is equal to 0, meaning that you didn't give him his meal, he's going to give you that jump and Jiminy line. If you did give him his meal, he's going to say thank you with line 243. Okay, so now that I've got that straight, let's go ahead. Let's go to, instead of this being an end, they want it to be an else. That's fine. If player is male, else. I'm going to put that there. So I got to close this with parenthesis. Okay, so it's going to be young feller as opposed to cute stuff. Smitty's a little lechy. That's okay, I guess. Me Too movement isn't really going on in the Fallout universe, I suppose. Who knows? It's ridiculous. I mean, there's a lot of really messed up dialogue in here in this game. You know, again, considering it's 25 years old, there were certain things that kind of got to pass that that wouldn't have before. Okay, dude is female. That's plussed here, and option 244. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and tag in responses number 1, 244, and I need to put in a target for that. So that's going to be equal to node 020. Okay. If player has, I'm going to go ahead and put has repair part. That's 245. Else if Smitty part state equals Smitty part known. Okay, 246. That's going to be end if player has upgrade part, because remember the repair part and the upgrade part are two different things. I'm going to go ahead and move. Let me go ahead and shift 247 down because it's going to go here between 248 and 249. Let's see, 248. Okay, that's going to be target equals N005. 246 is target equal to node 11. 245 is equal to target equals node 004. And again, I mean, even as much as I do this stuff, I do a lot of back and forth, and it's refining the process. You know, I never claim to be perfect at it. If Smitty deliver state equals to in progress and player has Smitty meal, okay, then we're going to go ahead and call 247 with a target of n equals 008. Okay, that's going to be an end, and then of course that's going to be here. Target is N999. Alright, so again, big modification here. The way this is going to break down is we've got the greeting, which is going to be either, if we've been here before, this is a new thing, we're going to go ahead and say, say thanks. So that means here before is equal to 1. Say thanks equals 0. Hey there, I really enjoyed my meal from Mom's. Thanks. Now what can old Smitty do for you? Else, if player is male. Hello there, young fella. What can Smitty do for you? Hello there, cute stuff. What can old Smitty do for you? Do you for, rather. So this means that here before is equal to 0. Basically saying that you have not met him before. Again, it's just a matter of going back and transposing. Sometimes I'll get a little bit ahead of myself. Once we've gotten the greet out of the way, we tag into the responses. And these, so I want to point out, these are just conditionals to how we populate the response lines. So these could, most of these could pop up. So the 244 line will always come up. The 249 line will always come up. But if you have the repair part and the upgrade part, and you have Smitty's meal, and it's still within the time frame, I don't know how we're going to enforce the time frame, then you could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines in the display. And that's why we have to use the dialog extender. If for whatever reason you don't have either of the parts, then you would just have 1, 4, and 5. Or if you didn't have any of these ifs in the middle, then you would only have 1 and 5. So you would have, I wonder what you do here, and then I was just looking around a bit. All right, so let's go ahead and minimize this. Let's take a look at our stuff here in the procs to make sure we're not leaving anything out that should be involved. Okay, so critter pproc, we got this up here. Currently, it has a line, but we don't talk about how that triggers. So we're going to go ahead and do a conditional. It's basically going to say if Smitty sees player. Okay. If Smitty hostile, I'll put in is hostile. Okay. Then we'll tag in and we'll do call n node 998. Okay. And we're going to do the end here, or else rather. Else if heard tamper off heard tamper set tamper warned. Go ahead and do that. Set heard tamper equals 0. Set tamper warned. Okay. Do. Set heard tamper into 1. Set tamper warned equal 1. Okay. And that's going to be 600 there. Else if, that's going to be the end. Else if heard tamper, if tamper warned equals false. Chase Smitty chase player. Okay. And let's see. We don't have any other events up here that we really need to worry about. Combat initialization, things like that. So if Smitty is hostile, if he can see the player and he's hostile, he'll fight him. If he's not hostile, if he heard somebody messing with his car, he'll go ahead and turn that to tamper is equal to 1, tamper warned is equal to 1, and then he fires offline 600, you get the hell away from my car. And then that spits you out. So let me go ahead and go to set the second end here. Okay. If Smitty heard tamper and tamper warned is equal to false, Smitty chase player. I think, again, they've got the logic of this backwards. So I'm going to go ahead and set that tamper warned equal to 1. Let's see. So let's... I don't know why, but for some reason, in some of these they have it the way that I expect it to be, which is if you want something to be active, you put it as 1, which means that here before equal to 0 should be the default state. And then here before equal to 1 gets converted after you turn the here before on. So again, like some of this I'm probably going to have to go through the logic of it again, but it's not a big deal. Got all these done, so I'm going to go ahead and close the SSL. And then I am going to open, let me see, where is Handbrake? No, where's Freeplane? I don't know why I was thinking I was going to pull up the other. Alright, let's see. Freeplane's loading. You can see the video capture in the background. I know that's probably annoying. Okay, so just to give you an idea, this is mom. This is mom's mind map. Okay, DC mom.message. And we've got a couple of different things here that I want you to pay attention to. Okay, so the dialog formatting is a little bit cleaner than I had it before. If I go to, let me go ahead and cancel, format, manage styles, edit styles, we can see down here that we've got our 11 different formats. We've got 8, 9, and 10, which are conditional based on some text I'm going to show you in a minute. Level 1 is just a primary node. Level 2 is NPC dialog. Level 3 is PC dialog. Level 4 is conditionals, like, if statements. Level 5 is debugs. Level 6 is a method call. So if I have a call to a node, if I put in call here node 001, it'll automatically trigger. So how are all these icons popping up? Do I have to go through and do them manually? No. I used to, and that was a real pain in the ass. So now I don't have to do it. I'm going to go to Manage Styles and go to Manage Conditional Styles for Map. And I've got the text for it right here. So what this is going to do is, if the core text of a node contains if and then the open parenthesis, it's going to automatically treat it as level 4. So I'm going to show you an example of this real quick. Let me close this and I'll show you. I'm going to zoom in. So if we look here at node 4, we have an if and an else. Now the if here starts at node identification 16 points of font size. Else starts at 14. The if starts at 16 because there's a format being applied. Now what I could do, if I really wanted to, is go in and put in some other conditionals that would match that same formatting. But at present, it doesn't, it's not hurting anything. I'll fiddle with it later if I need to. The other ones we've got are text contains call, and then again open parenthesis. So I'm doing an open case on that. Node match case, which means if I have node in all caps, it's going to identify it as a level 1 like this. 998, which we use as a combat one, is going to be level 10, which is my combat text has a little bomb icon. 999 is going to have the stop sign, as we see down here. Unused is going to turn the background black, and it's going to have a red no sign on it. If it includes the little text arrow I draw, which is just a dash and then a greater than symbol, and I have to make sure that it matches at that point, I have to put that in quotes, it's going to do level 3 because I only use this dialog transition to a node for player dialog. I don't use it for NPC. If it contains int less than 4, it's automatically going to trigger the formatting I have for node 11. Now, those do stack in sequence. Let me go ahead and point that out again real quick, conditionals for the map. So it's going to go down the list. If it matches something, great. If it doesn't, it's not going to worry about it. Now, normally what I would do is I would try and figure out termination conditions so I don't have overlaps, and I would check the stop button, things like that. But it doesn't seem to be causing any problems just yet. I guess I could go in and sort a little bit more logically, but at this point, it's been working great. I've not had any issues with any of the stuff that I've got going on. You'll notice the name Smitty in here because Smitty is directly related to Mom's quest line. You're going to go and deliver food to Smitty from Mom's. So the cool thing about this is if I hit insert and I just start typing node and I hit enter, hey, it's automatically going to be style 1. If I have the dash trigger that I put in before, it's going to trigger it as being node level 3. If I put in call, it's going to convert it to level 6. Now if I just put in call but I don't put the open parenthesis, boom, it's not gonna transition. If I have int less than 4, it's gonna go and do that. So I can actually combine these. So if I do call n998 int less than 4, I can go ahead and do n999. Got all that. And again, it will do it in the sequence in which it comes. So if 998 is first, that's the first icon. 999 is here because it comes first in the list. If I were to go ahead and change it to 999 then 998, we would see here that that doesn't change anything because if I go to my manage styles here, you'll see here that 998 comes before 999. So if I move that down 1 and hit OK, then now we can change the order in which the icons will present themselves. But that's a really handy one that I've managed to throw together. So if you go to our Trello and you download either Joey or Mom's map, which is not a very big thing, whenever you create a new map, which is what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and say OK, pull that up, and I'm going to go to Format. I'm going to copy map styles from mommessage.mm. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select that, hit open, and I'm going to go ahead and hit my default and change it to a root node. So now if I go to manage styles, I go to edit styles, I can see all 11 layers are sitting here. And I can also go to conditional styles and I can see that all that stuff is carried over as well. So now I can close Mom, put that to bed, it's all good. And let me get into DC Smitty.message. Okay, so again, I'm going to start from bare bones here. I'm going to start from the top as opposed to starting from the bottom, which is what I did before, just because that's going to be a little bit easier assembly-wise. I'm going to go ahead and do insert node 000, insert again, look p proc, and I'm going to go ahead and put in L100, and that's it. Now, because this is supposed to be a response that comes directly from Smitty dialog, I'm going to go ahead and put it as level 2. So now you can see I've got my coloration. I've got my node 0, 0, 0, and then I've got my my sub method here, and then I've got my dialog. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and collapse that. Now I'm going to hit enter, go ahead and down to my next line, critter p proc. Okay, and then I've got my ifs. So if Smitty sees player, and then I've got another nested if Smitty is hostile, call node 998. Alright, so there we go. We've got a call, we've got a compound, we've got the coloration, we've got the bolding, and we've got the icon. So if I were to put in nod 998, we would see that the dialog is not where it's supposed to be. And then I would also be able to, if I just put in 998 instead, that one give me what I need. So yeah, you can play with the conditionals if you want. It's not a big deal to me, obviously. All right, so we got that part. Let's go to if Smitty is hostile. We've got an else. So else if herd tamper. We don't have autocomplete in here, so just bear in mind you want to make sure that you're spelling these things correctly. Herd tamper equals 1. Set tamper warned equal 1. Okay. Else 600. Okay. And then again, if you have a properties key on your keyboard, it will launch this as well, or you can just right click, and that's an end. So then we've got here another one, which is another else if, so it's else if herd, oh, I'm sorry, that's in the C's player, so else if herd tamper. So this is hearing the tamper if it's in visible proximity or if it isn't. Okay, so we're basically identifying, if he doesn't hear you, then he's still going to come yelling. Insert if tamper warned equal 1, then Smitty chase player. Cool. And that's going to be the end for the critter p. Okay. We can go here to description p proc. Okay. If here before equals 1, else insert L150, insert L151. And I will go ahead and set those both to level 2. Okay. Let me see. Destroy p proc. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do insert good critter kill plus, or you can do plus equals 1. Just depends on your logic there. Basically all you're saying is we're going to add to the number of good characters that your player has destroyed. Talk p proc. Okay. If we're going to put in mom attacked or mom killed, call node 001. We're going to do else if player intelligence is less than 4, call node 002. Else, again, that default case, node 000 end. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and make sure that we set here before. So regardless of what's going on, we could probably do, say, insert set here before, and then I will go ahead and XB, just so that way we have that process before we get into all the rest. And let's see, then we've got another if in talk pproc, so that's going to be insert if player has car, call node 018, else if tamper warned or heard tamper. So again, I got to kind of frame those up to make sure I have my parentheses up. And repeated car warning equals false. Now, if you only have the one conditional, you don't have to double parentheses it. I will do that just to make sure that the order of operations that I want to see is followed. It takes so little time, and it just makes sure that it enforces whatever you're trying to get done. And then else, insert call node 003. Okay, so this is the really simple stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and minimize 001 now. If you go to Alt 0 or Alt Shift 0, you can actually expand and contract all of your blocks. Now, why am I expanding everything? Well, because I want to take a look at how these are structured. Okay, so if I go to my find feature here, and again, I'm going to save my Smitty work. I'm going to go ahead and go to Control F, and I'm going to type in 001. What calls 001? Only talk pproc. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Insert Node 001. Cool. All right, what about Node 002? Well, that's the only place that calls that, so I'm going to go ahead and insert node 002. Okay. I'm going to go to my next one in my list, which is going to be node 000, which is a recursive call to itself. That's fine. Node 18. There's a couple of places that call node 18, so that's going to be an ambiguous node. It's going to have multiple points of origin, so we're just going to skip that. All right, what about node 27? How many places can that come from? Well, we can only call it from repeated car warning up here at in node 000. Excuse me. So node 27 is only going to be called from this location. That means that we can define it here. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to vertically compress the script's output, so that I can see that, you know, if we have a node that is a solitary branch, there's only one way to get to it, then we can look at it on a horizontal scale. We can make sure that we're not scrolling up and down for something that could be essentially just like another if statement. That's kind of how I want to treat the calls that are here. But because I want to make sure that nodes are differentiated and we can see kind of this light yellow background so that they stand out, then I will go ahead and I will include it that way. All right, then let's go ahead and take a look at node 003. There's a couple of places that call node 3, so I'm going to go ahead and go from there. All right, so now I've got nodes 1 and 2 to worry about, so let me go ahead and jump up to the top. I'm going to go ahead and minimize here. So nodes 1 and 2 are actually really easy. I'm just going to put in random L200-204. All right, and I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it in node 2 because it becomes 220 to 224. Now, because there is an issue here, just in case, it should have updated. Let me see here. Note contains int less than 4. Oh, here we go. There we are. That's what we want to see. Okay. There's that little flag I wanted. We have to have this intelligence branch coming through here. You could reinforce it, but you don't have to. Just make sure that if you are going to do this kind of what I would call transitive branching, maybe, that you include these little spacers to identify where the branch starts, and make sure that as soon as there is a conditional that identifies the intelligence test, that it is included, because you don't want to get down here and then be like, oh, we should have called it, 3 steps back. All right, so nodes 1 and 2 are pretty much done. I'm going to go ahead and format those, so I'm going to hold Shift, click both of those, go to Apply Style, and get Level 2, because those are dialogue coming from Smitty. Node 3, we can see here that we've got a lot of origin points coming from Node 3, so that's going to be one that's created on its own. So I'm going to go down to node 000, hit Enter to create a carriage return, next line. And that's just going to be called, if I put a comment at the bottom, hello. I'm going to insert and go to if here before equal 1, if say thanks equals 0, L242, else L243. If here before is equal to 0, which is else, then we have if player is male. I'm going to do L240, else L241. And again, I'm going to go ahead and set all of those to have dialog style level 2, okay, because that's all coming directly from my man here. Now I'm going to hold Alt, Shift, and hit Insert, and we can have this what's called a summary node that pops up here. And what this does is it puts all of these nodes back together to a common point. Regardless of what he says, we're going to come to the same response lines. So I'm going to go ahead and do L244 to node 20. Okay, so I'm going to hit Enter. Hey, it automatically formats like I said it would earlier. If player has repair part L245 and 004. Okay, we've got else if Smitty part state equals Smitty part known L246 target and 011. You don't have to include the spaces, but it does make it look a little bit easier to read. So let me see. I'm going to go ahead and go to my mapping styles real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and say let's see. I have to add another piece, aren't I? Let's go to new. Always core text contains else if add. And we're going to hit OK. And we're going to set that to default as level 4. And when I hit OK, you'll see some modifications jump about with that. So let me go ahead and make sure I put the open parenthesis on that. That's probably an important point. Else if, let me go to set name. I don't want it to be a condition name. Let's go to add and new. We're going to remove and remove. Okay. Hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and move this up here, if and else if. Hit OK. Hey, that's nice. That's not bad. You could also, deal with else if separated from that as well. But that's good for now. That helps a little bit. I'll start fiddling with the logic of the regex, the regular expression. All right. So if player has repair part, else if known end. So then we've got if let me see, if Smitty deliver state equals in progress and player has Smitty meal. L247 and 008. Alright, and then we'll put here L249 and 999X. That's going to automatically set all that. Now, if I have all of these and I feel like they're not in the right positions, I can hit Control R and it will reset their positions and make them fit a bit more flush. You can see they're all left aligned now. Alright, so node 3 is good. Let me go ahead and take a look at the items I've got here. So let's call 004. So node 004 only comes from if the player has the repair part here. So if I go to node 004, I can go ahead and declare that. Let me see, what else do I have? I have node 20. Does node 20 come from more than one location? Nope, comes straight from node 3. So I can put in a call for node 20 here. And then I can go ahead and set for, let's see what node 11 does. Okay, well, 11's got a couple of targets, that's okay. And then what about 8? Node 8. You know, we've got 2 different spots for node 8, so we're going to let that one be. Node 4 can now be directly declared, so I can go ahead and fire off node 4 and insert L260. Alright, and I'm going to insert my responses, so L261 and 006, L262 and 003, L263 and 999. And again, I'm just going to put in the X. I don't have to. That just it helps me to kind of stay on top of it. What I used to do with node 998 was put the C at the end, but now that I auto formatted, I just feel like only one of them really needs to have a flag on it. So that's all for that. We already know that node 3 is being called back here, so we don't have to do any testing for that. Node 6. Have we tested node 6? Double check here. Doesn't look like it. 006 only comes from node 4. Sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and instantiate that. Node 006. And we're going to go ahead and call L300 response L301 target node N009. Okay, so we're going to set Smitty's dialogues. We've got 2 pieces here to level 2, which we had before. Alright, so now we've got that going across. Level 6. Alright, let's go ahead and check number 9. So let's just go ahead and 009. A couple of places that comes from. 7. That only comes from 5. Alright, cool. So let's see what 5 is. 5 will only come from here. So let me see. Where is it? Hail timer. This thing I found in Klamath. Should be in 20 and 4. Has a repair part. Oh, I skipped part of it. Might be. If player has upgrade part. Alright, insert L248 and 005 node 005. Okay, so we can now go in and instantiate both. We can go ahead and put in that node as we need. Node 005. So that's L280. Insert responses. So that's L281 and 007. L282 and 003. L283 and 999. And as I just said, node 7 is only callable from here, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that. So just to refresh, 007 only comes from node 5. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do insert L310, which is Smitty's reply, L311, tag, and 009. Now, let me see if this is, this is critical here. Let me go and double check 9, because it looks like 9 comes from 6 and from 7. Now, because I've got them lined up like this, and that's the only pathway for both of them, what I can do is Control Insert. I can just do that to where I can wrap around from these two. Or, because it's covering responses I don't want, I can do Insert to node 009, and then I can have a right click to drag to that, and then I can have this little connector line. Now, quite a few people use the connector lines for other stuff. I don't like to use them except for this. This is the one remove at which I have zero problem using them. Because otherwise, it just, for me, it looks kind of messy. But, you know, again, this game is, this remake, this mod is not going to be just one person's opinion. So if you want to do it this way, you certainly can. But at this point, I'm going to just clarify that both of these are tagging up to node 9. Alright, so I know 9 can only go through there. So I can scroll down to 9, which I can see comes from sources 6 and 7. So I can go ahead and do insert L330, insert next line. If player has car repair part, L331-N010. And then we have L331. Sorry, got my stuff messed up here. It's going to be an else. Insert L331-N013. So, and again, I mean, we're just kind of flowing along here, filling in the blocks as we go. So let me go ahead and check with 10. 10 can only come from 9. I'm going to go ahead and just use the tags that are here. It can only pull up to 9. So I'm going to go ahead and insert node 010, L340, insert L341, target node 11. Now 11 only comes from 10, so we can go ahead and mess with that as well. Node 011, insert set Smitty part state equal to Smitty part known. And let me see. Yep, that's good. And then I'm going to hit Shift while I hit Enter, and then L350 because that's his reply. Now, I'm going a little bit far to the right here, so what I'm going to do is just make sure that I have formatted all of Smitty's dialog, because that's the only stuff that really doesn't auto-format. I haven't set up a proper conditional for that yet, and there's not really a way to do it that I can think of that isn't super messy. So rather than having erroneous conditions pop up, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it as is and automatically double check and do it manually. It's not a big deal. Not for me anyway. Okie dokie. So I've got my responses to set up. So if player caps is greater than or equal to 2000, then that means that we can transition to L351 and N012. Okay. If not, then we can go ahead and go to just else. L352 N003, L353 N999X. Okay, now 12, it says 12 comes from 12, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So what I'm going to do is just type in 012, and we can see that it actually comes from 11. So if I go here, I just quick change that real quick. That'll be just for me for later. Insert node 012. And then we've got a couple of things, obviously, that we got to do. Game time, advance, 1 hour. Didn't put the second parenthesis, my bad. Set Smitty part state equal to Smitty part given. Player caps minus equals 2000. Set gvar 018 equal to 1. Player inventory remove fuel cell controller. Alright, and then L370. Now in this case, because I do have a lot of text, I may want to go ahead and space it out a bit, which isn't going to hurt anything. We'll take it or leave it. I'm going to right click here, go to apply style, set level 2, obviously, that's what I need. L370 is for that, and then I'm going to go ahead and put in my adjusted version, 371 to N999. And then I'll just put it down here in the comments, original target N990. Cinematic. Okay. Alright, so boop, boop, boop. Good. Go and close up 12. That's good there. We know 3 is recursive, comes back. What about 13? 13 only comes from node 9, so that means that node 9 spits back here to 13. Insert node 013, and then L380, L381 target N014. Okay. Again, I'm just going in and setting Smitty's dialog as I go. 14 only comes from 13, so I can type in node 14 here. L390. Insert L391 to N015. Node 15 comes from 14, so node 15 here. Set request Smitty part state equal to Smitty part known L400, and then it comes to L401 and 016. 16 comes from 15, so again, node 16. Insert L410 as Smitty dialog, L411 going to N017. 17 only comes from 16, so node 17, L420, L421, N03. So we know that's an N target there. L422 to N9999, or 999, not multiple ones. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select Smitty's dialog going back a couple of nodes. Get that there. Right click, apply style level 2. Okay, so we've cleared through 17. I'm going to get down here. 18 comes from the where to go branch, which would be back here at the beginning of node 3, I believe. I do not know if node 18 has multiple call points or not. I've forgotten. We've blown through a couple. If player has car, yeah, looks like that. Okay, so I was getting the G bar that was messing with me. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and insert node 18 here. There's going to be a origin point for that. A non-ambiguous area. We're going to do player bought car. That is something I will probably want to go back and do over this mind map once it's finished. Is just make sure I have descriptors for these. If player has upgrade part. Go ahead and close this. And car location equals area den, or took car off den bus 1 equals false. Should have fixed that earlier. Off. Okay. I didn't add the target for that. Alright, so let's go back to Smitty. We're going to jump down to node 18. And 19 is the target there. Okay. Alright, make sure I got all these others, 8 and 9. Awesome. Alright, so all those are good. We're going to go to L431, target N019. Now node 19 can only come from node 18, so node 19, L450, if player caps greater than or equal to 750, L451 dash node 26. Okay, let's see here. We're going to go ahead and change the dialog for these to level 2. Make sure those are set correctly. Okay. Alright, so if player does not have caps more than 750, we're going to do the else. L452 and 999. Actually, that should just be a standard dialog. Don't need that conditional. I'll move that here as well. What we don't want to happen is the else is there and it accidentally sets that if you don't have the 2000 caps, it doesn't give you the correct dialog. It can give you both options. That's what we want. If you have the 2000 caps, or if you have the 750, we want you to have the L451 and also L452. We want you to have both. We don't want you to get locked into where you have to buy the upgrade for the car. All right. Node 20. Did we talk about node 20 before? Ah, here you go. So node 20 has got its own little branch, L460, insert L461-N021, L462 to N003. And we know N003 is a bit of a loop back. Go ahead and update my dialog. Node 21 only comes from node 20. So then we can go to L470. And that's L471 022. 022 only comes from 21, so 022 here. Go ahead and take Smitty. Set him a level 2. I really should set a hotkey for that, you know, but I haven't done it yet. That is something that's actually really cool, is that there's a, yeah, there you go. You got your hotkey presets that you can set there, and I haven't set any up yet, but I'm sure I could go ahead and make sure that we have an attachment to set style levels or something like that. Okay, so node 22, running down to the end of the list here. L480, insert L481, target node 23. L482, node 24. Okay, node 23 is here, and node 24 is here. Again, I've got these little shortcuts here in the text, so that helps me out. L490, L491, and 025. Insert L500, L501, and 025. So remember we had that earlier where we had two nodes that essentially ran parallel to one another. Here we go. Where node 9 essentially was able to kind of bleed back. Or you could have a situation where the two of them were right next to each other and you could use the summary node in order to pull them together. I'm trying to remember where the shortcut was that we did that. But if you use the summary node to go ahead and recollect your targets, God, that's going to drive me nuts. You can just hold Shift. Here we go. It was kind of bled off to the side over here on node 3, the first primary response line. All right, so I'm going to go to node 25, Alt Shift Insert, and that's going to give me my summary node, node 25. All right, then I'm going to go down here, and that's going to go to Insert Set Smitty Part State equal to part known. Okay, and again L510, I gotta get his dialog in there. Insert L511, target N003, and then L512 and 999X. Alright, so that's 25. 26 can come from 19. So let's see, where is node 19? Okay, so node 26. Again, we're just going to go ahead and do a quick verification. Node 26 only comes from node 19. So that's okay. So we can go ahead and go here, insert node 026. Node 26 is game time advance, 1 hour. Player caps minus equals 750. Player inventory remove car fuel injector injection. Set car upgrade fuel cell regulator. Okay, L520, insert L521 to N999. We're going to set old Smitty, his dialog there. Set that here. Okay, I'm pretty sure I've been doing good about not skipping any of the formatting here. I don't see any loose floating processes so far. Alright, node 27. Did we do that one already? 27 here. Okay. So that is the call. So we're going to go ahead and do set repeated car warning. L650 dialog format. L651 N999X. Alright, if player int less than 4, L652 N999X. Okay, and that's it. I've gone ahead and cleared all the items here. Like literally, you could do a search function and pull any of the different items that we have here so far, and be able to jump back to where these nodes are mapped. So this is the entirety of Smitty's gameplay. So what I'm going to do is just select all of them and hit Control R. I'm going to make sure any of them that got slid out of position where they weren't supposed to be have been adjusted, so they're put back together. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go over and save, and it's dcsmitty.message because that's the name I put in the box, .mm. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit so you can see. You know, you remember my video with Sulik, how it was mostly vertical. There was a lot of stuff going on vertically. In this case, we still have a lot of things going on, but it's all in a more of a horizontal thing. We've only got probably, oh, hard to tell. I mean, if we were comparing it, probably only about maybe an eighth of the vertical coverage for Sulik. But what we can also see, and this is something that I may change in the future, is that these nodes, you know, we could very much just put them as dialog sequences to where we have, you know, if you don't have the car repair part, you go from line 331 into line 380, line 381 into 390, 391 into 400, 401 into 410, 411 into 420, and then you have a decision block. So we go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines of dialogue from this branch here, and that's 11, you know, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we're talking like 16 or 17 pieces of dialogue consistently without having to make a quote-unquote decision until all the way down here. So some of these dialogue phases are going to be very, very straightforward. There's a lot of extra cartilage here just because I'm trying to identify if there's a problem with something I've typed, and that's something else you want to make sure as a dialogue editor that you do. You don't want to identify problems after the fact and not be able to go in and fix them. So that's why commenting, as I was talking about earlier, is so important. Making sure that you have documentation of where everything is. I've got node 27 listed. That's the exact text that is here in the message block. So we've got node 27 right there. So if I were to do Control F and type in node 027 and hit enter, it would jump to the call block first, and then it jumps to the actual launch right there. So, you know, I could theoretically just put call and then have node 27 be the next one in the sequence, which, I mean, you could, but it's not necessary. I think this is fine. And then, of course, you know, if I have a particular line of dialogue, so I'll just spin one at random. Let's see here, 321. So if I go to 321, I literally just have to hit 321, and then it will jump over and be able to highlight where it is. So let me see if I scroll over to the side, select there, go to probably L321 is going to be what it needs. Let's see. There we go. I had to turn on the fuzzy search, so my bad. It jumps back to it's 331, so that seems strange. I always have this penchant for being able to pull ones out of nowhere that I screwed up. So this is node 8, right? So if we have 4, 5, 6, 7, what was node 8? So I have to make sure I loop back on myself here. Node 000. Ah. Again, like I said, I occasionally will come across these errors that I make, and I have to go in and correct them. Okay, so node 8 gets called from either node 3 or node 18. So that means because there's 2, let me see, 3 calls node 8 here, node 18 doesn't call it from 3. Let's see. 008. if quest Smitty deliver. Node 18 player bought car. Did I skip something? Damn, man, I have been so slacking. I'm sorry, guys. Let me go ahead and make sure I add in these additional conditionals then. If quest Smitty deliver state equals in progress and player has Smitty meal L432 and 008. Then we have L433 and 999. Now, granted, this is a pretty easy fix, you know, coming in. Okay, so if I were to go to find line 321. Now, I haven't tagged that in yet because remember it's coming from node 8. So we got to figure out, all right, here 3 node 008. Scroll up. And that is the meal for moms delivered. Meal delivered. All right, so let's go to if Smitty deliver state equals time up. Set Smitty deliver state equal to deliver finished. That's going to be L322. Okay, and let's go ahead and do our response time, L323 N999. Now, because these are all N999s, I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste. So L324 N999, L325 N999, 326, 327. I forgot my little X's. At least I can make them consistent for myself. You'll notice it'll still tag them, so it's not like it's going to hurt anything. Let's see, B, turn that off. Alright, cool. Alright, so we got those in. If we go to else, meaning that we didn't screw up and we actually deliver it, set say thanks equal to 1. Set Smitty deliver state equal to deliver finished. Player add inventory, or inventory add, sorry. Stim pack, this one. Player inventory remove Smitty meal. Next one. Okay. L320. We want to make sure Smitty's dialog is good to go. Okay. And my responses are going to be L320 and 999. Close that up. 321, not 20. Cool. Okay. So now that's fun. If I go to L321, let me go to 23. Okay, that highlights 321, jumps to that. So that was really convenient. I was actually pretty happy with that. I'm not sure why the color is different though. Node 008. Moms. Let me go ahead and I guess grab these real quick. Cut, paste. Yeah, I don't know why I had a weird colored line there. I guess maybe it's because it's multiple node branches. In any event, make sure those are all set where they're supposed to be. Alright. So again, just, you know, go through, make sure you're being thorough about these things, and just, you know, I can easily make mistakes, so it's important to make sure that we go through and verify. That's why when I post that stuff up, You know, Austin always takes a look at it for me, and as the dialogue characters will go, editors will go through, they'll say, okay, we got a problem with node 20. There's something wrong with the target on L462. So they'll come back and check, and it'll say, okay, it says target in 003. Let's jump back to the SSL, and we're going to say node 420, reply 460, N option 461 here, N option 460, B option 462 here, target 03, target 21. And they can verify that everything's good. Again, we're just trying to make sure that we're eliminating ways in which we can create more confusion. That's not something we want to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and save Smitty. I'm going to go ahead and just take a quick look here and make sure everything looks good. You know, again, going through this methodology, I get a little overconfident sometimes, so that's why I'm glad that, you know, I go through and I make sure that all of my edits are good. So let me go ahead and do an export. So I'm going to go ahead and do export map. I'm going to select PDF. It may try and get you to do it in one of these other formats here, like there's one that started with an A that really threw me off. ASCII doc. Okay, not what I wanted to do. I want a PDF. I want something that's zoomable, scalable, and it's easy to read on mobile platforms. So these are the ones I've completed so far. dcsmitty.message.pdf. So whatever's in this tag box down here is just going to put PDF at the end of it. I'm going to go ahead and save it. So now I have a mind map in MM form. So this is 1.9.3, I think. Yeah, software 193. And then we have the PA edited message, and then I have the PDF exported. Now when I go into Trello and paste these three things, these are essentially going to be the three primary reference points that are usable by our dialogue editor. So that way, if I messed up in one, the other two can kind of act as a check and balance for this. The auto formatting I've included, as I've said, was pretty handy. You know, I didn't have to do a lot of color changes or things like that manually. Things popped up on their own. And if I typed in something and it was kind of wonky, the fact that the formatting didn't trigger was actually a pretty handy way to make sure that I was staying on top of any errors that I had possibly generated. For those that are curious, let me see here if I go into Project Arroyo, dialogue scripts, Freeplane. If I go down here to, where is it? Goodness, my brain blanked. There's DC Smitty. So this is what it comes out to. This gives me the page of everything kind of zoomed up. And then of course if I, you know, opt for somebody a little bit bigger, if I go to size sort and I go to Dunton, you know, Casey Dunton, obviously this is a little bit different. Now what I can do, which might make my life a little bit simpler, is to go in and see if there's any flows that I can try and re-edit with that. Not a big deal if that's not the case. Let me see, like somebody like Sulik or Joey. Joey, he has a lot of the edits that I put in, so you can see kind of a double up on some of these. You know, you can see that there's the unused in that case for the black lines. We've got those formatted up. Sulik, before I really got going, you know, I had to go and do this stuff manually, so he didn't. I didn't put the bombs and all that stuff for combat, and I didn't put the stops in, things like that. I may possibly go back and re-edit those now because it actually should be pretty easy. But other than that, I'm not going to worry about it too hard. But you can see kind of the evolution over time, going from Dunton to Sulik to now to Joey and Smitty. Definitely looking a lot more cohesive and easier to follow. And the color coding I really tried to make sure was very distinct. So hopefully this tutorial has been instructive. Hopefully you figured out a couple of things that will help you speed your process when you start putting this stuff together. If you ever have any questions or anything like that, you know, I'm a teacher. This is my jam. I love instructing people. So, you know, giving you some clarity if it's something that I happen to understand. So just shoot me a DM and be like, hey, you know, I wasn't really clear on this or this, and you know, could you go back over X, Y, or Z? You know, whatever makes the project go smoother, because, you know, this is going to be a mod that we're going to be working on for a couple of years, most likely. And I really want to make sure that it's as smooth as I can make it. So thanks so much for your time and attention. I really appreciate everybody, and let's go Arroyo.